Hi everyone, we are on the road. We are in Woodbridge, Virginia, and we are at Black Wolf Automotive Specialties. I'm here with Chris and Maxi, and they have a lot to
and
share.
your regulars, John and Mark.
Oh yeah, John and Mark, the team,
Yeah,
of course. I don't go anywhere without them.
And we really are on the road today, and we couldn't have got here without, what, 2 hours and 45 minutes of white knuckle.
Yes.
We got it. It was a piece of cake.
Absolutely. It was a great ride for me. I was in the back seat.
We're out here. We're on the road. I want to say thanks to our sponsors today. We got VPI Services, and we also have Rooster Concepts. Thanks for letting us come out and play, guys. So, John, tell us where we are. What's going on?
Well, we're here with Chris and Maxi. And Chris, this is pretty much a story starting with you way back when you were a military brat. I haven't figured out, Air Force, Army, Navy, Army brat, overseas.
Army brat spent 3 years overseas in Germany, and then the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
Right.
They, and I think I might have mentioned experimenting with 220 volts.
Well, and I was going to leave there,
Yes.
yeah, because that's
was,
50 hertz, and 220 and 50 or 60 still is going to hurt.
It's a different experience in this country, that's for sure.
Right. So you got your love through that.
I gained an appreciation for it.
Okay.
And I was the curiosity. Was always the.
And then you came back here to the States and transitioned to picking up parts off the side of the road and building bicycles.
Well, I used to build lots. I was the town bicycle mechanic. So yeah, I built a lot of exactly.
So that's, I mean, to go from electricity overseas to building bicycles, that shows there's quite the mechanical aptitude from one spectrum to the other.
It didn't make any difference really what it was. If it could be taken apart, I enjoyed taking it apart. The challenge is getting it back together, obviously, and that's.
So when did your love for working on automobile? You went from bicycles, and then I'm assuming transitioned into working on cars.
About 15 and 8 months.
Okay. Oh, we got it down.
Well,
That's
a
good.
driver's license.
Right before you started driving, right?
That was it was immediate. I mean, I wanted the freedom.
And your first car was?
I wanted the freedom. A '68 Mustang.
Okay.
And it's crazy to think back how many years that's been at this point when I purchased that car, because I truly did buy it off the little old lady in tennis shoes that was the original owner.
Oh, wow.
And it was just the most pristine, perfect. It was the most base model, 6-cylinder, 3-speed on the floor.
Sure.
No accessories at all, no options at all. Yeah, but it was an amazing condition.
A real cream puff, huh?
Oh, I was.
Now you still
extremely
have
proud.
that car?
No, it took me about 4 years to kill that car. So it was an ongoing. I tore it down, built it up, and tore it down and built it up. Well, I crashed it and fixed it. And made mistakes and did dumb things, and
Right.
it took me about 4 years to. But what I learned from that was unbelievable. It was a very neat place to start, considering at this point in life we never have less than half a dozen Mustangs on hand.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a neat place to get to start. So I'm always looking for the one that I'm always looking for the Mustang that comes in here that has the features and was set up the way, and everybody wants the V8,
Sure.
the air conditioning. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So Chris set the roots on this thing, and then Maxi came into play. Maxi, what do you got to say? When did you come in on this show here?
I came in on board about 8 years ago at this point, almost 9. I guess I went to 9. And I was looking for something different, and started working with Chris, doing mostly general auto at the time. But shortly after, we decided to do the change, do the fun stuff, the classic cars, and we advertised for a little bit, just a short period of time, and after that, it's been mostly word of mouth. Can't keep them out of here. They keep on coming in.
Well, one of the things that caught me in reading up on your bio and all that sort of thing was that you learn how not to do a business through stuff that you guys were working on previous life, the companies that you worked for before. So you've taken that philosophy and brought it here on this is how we're going to treat customers, this is how we're going to do our business, this is how we're going to run things.
Absolutely. Well, truly, I've learned most of how to run a business through Chris. So,
Right.
yeah, I guess he's got more input on that.
That's fantastic. So Jeanette, I had a chance to go out and walk around the parking lot. I mean, all the cars that are out here, I mean, you guys, these are all works in progress, or do you guys share this space on this end with others, or 'Cause I saw some pretty cool cars. I took some video.
There
So
was some.
Outside.
This end of the building, everything that's on this end,
Uh-huh.
we're responsible for
Yeah.
one way or another.
we got some outstanding cars out there, and we'll show you the walk around in just a bit. We're also going to get a chance to go behind the scenes and check out the shop as well. So we're looking forward to all that. So you guys stay tuned. We're going to be right up with you in just a bit. Okay? Thanks again, guys. So we are out here. We've made our way back to the shop. We're out here with Maxi. We're going to pick his brain on what's going on inside the shop, and also before we do that, what do you think, John? We find out a little bit more
I
about
think
Max.
we need to, yeah. He actually runs the shop, so we need to find out a little bit background on you.
Okay.
We didn't talk about that out there. So.
All right, no problem, Sam. I'm originally from Argentina. Much like Chris, when I was a kid, taking things apart.
What do you think, Mark?
When they're all back together, sometimes they wouldn't go back together. But anyways, I came to the States in the early 2000s and started working as a loop tech at a shop in Springfield here locally. And then shortly after that, I became an apprentice and then got my own bay in the same shop. So I worked at General Automotive for 13 years.
Okay.
Until kind of got the tire of the grind and wanted to do something fun. So I started looking for what else to do, and that's when I found Chris. And then we got together and started all of this.
Now, had he had this shop when you met him, or was he somewhere else? Because I know he had a couple other jobs before this.
When I met him, he was here.
He was here,
in
okay.
this building, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And with the story on the other two shops, on how he lost his hair.
Right.
So but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was him.
All right, so you guys specialize in antiques and classics.
Antiques and classics.
How did that come about? Did you see a need in the market for this, or?
A combination of things, really. The main reason was that we wanted to do what was fun.
What was fun?
There you
What's
go.
fun in the
Yeah.
industry. Yeah, everybody, when they start working on cars, they say, I want to have a restoration shop. I want to be able to fix these old cars. And that's how we started. And then immediately noticed that there was definitely a void in the industry because most restoration shops, they'll do all in or nothing. So you're doing a full restoration or nothing.
Right.
And we advertise, and we probably get to see it on our website. We'll do anything from small repairs, to full restoration. So anything in between, we'll do it.
Well, and I noticed, and we talked about it out there. Chris mentioned that his business model, he learned from how not to do things from some of the other businesses he was in.
Absolutely.
And looking and reading through your website, you're talking. It's almost like an interview process when you have somebody come in.
Right.
It's a sit down. We're going to talk about this. We're going to go through the whole thing. We're going to pick your brain. They're going to find out about you. You're going to find out about them, which is you don't find in very many places that do that sort of thing. That you know exactly what they want, and you provide a very little, bit of running order as far as what's going to happen to that car during the process.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely an interview process. Yeah, just to get to know each other. So we always invite people over to come check out the shop first before we even think about bringing in the car. We'll learn a little bit about each other, about the car, what the dream is, what the end goal is, what it is that we're trying to do with this car, and the goal is really by the end of it, by the time they pick up that car, that everybody's happy.
Right.
We want to make sure that you're happy with the product that you're getting, make sure that you're happy with the decisions that were made.
Right.
So that's why it's important for us that we get inputs.
If we're gonna make dreams happen,
Sure.
we got to know what your dreams are. So ultimately, that's what they're talking about. Come check out the shop, see what we got, see what we can do, and then your job really is to pull it off. And that's where we see a lot of people do a great job on certain things, and other people, that's where we get a lot of complaints from. Is that, well, I wanted to do this and that, but they really didn't. And part of that's not being involved, and the other part is sometimes what the customer feels like is they didn't really care about me or my car. They got my money, but they didn't really do what I wanted to. And in the back of our mind is did you tell them what you wanted? Did you get involved with it? And sometimes you just hand over the car and hand over money, and sometimes you don't get the product that you want. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen, right?
Valid point. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and sometimes there's misunderstanding because there is no communication.
Right.
Me as an owner comes in and thinks something's going to happen. You as Maxi are thinking this is what's supposed to happen, and the two don't meet in between. Or you know, I've seen it before too in shops where you have an awfully strong personality as far as the shop owner or the manager that's running the, and that kind of overtakes that individual on what they want on their car. So
Right.
it sounds like you kind of need a happy medium
Yes.
to where you provide enough input to maybe steer that, but not completely take over the project. And
Absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely. There's a lot of validity to that. It's important for us to make sure that the client has an input on the end goal.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
It's just not it's not necessarily they're involved in every single nitty gritty of the project, because some of it is boring, really.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well,
when
one of
it
the-
comes to those decisions, go ahead.
one of the things I noticed on your website that you don't see, I'm sure a lot of shops do, but you guys call it out, research. You do a lot of research services for your clients. So how does that, do you have a big database in here? Do you have, I know Miss Chris is your admin individual, does she do all the research for you for parts and?
So it's a shared burden, I guess, in a project. The technicians, admin team, parts department, we do a lot of research.
Right.
And we even include the customer many times to do the research.
Sure.
And show us what they've seen online that they want to do.
Well, that's important, you gotta have a customer report.
Yeah, definitely spend days swiping and, oh yeah, I want to like that and like that, but I want to be able to start every time I want it to, and I don't want to have to prime the carburetor and whatever else, you know,
Right.
so you got to find that
Right.
happy medium.
There's the carburetor even is a talk that happens all the time. That's
Right.
Customers always, I want something more reliable. Well, carburetor is reliable, but they have their own little
Pros and cons.
idiosyncrasies.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So we've done a lot of fuel injection conversions.
Yeah.
So I think we need to go take a tour of the shop.
Yeah, we got some cool cars in here. We
Yeah,
got some things that are roped off and all that stuff. So some projects look like they're done or almost done and sitting in storage. Other ones are in severe services of repair. You know. So,
You get to see
from
them.
here we can see the Bronco up on the lift there. So we have a
We've
Bronco
got a
out
56
here.
back here, a 69 right here. Our Mustang guys are gonna love us because we've got two Mustangs right behind us here.
Yeah.
So
There's some outside too.
outside,
Yeah. So we're going to take a little tool around. We'll learn a little bit about some of the cars here. So hang on. We'll be right with you.
All right, so here we are. We're going to take a tour of the shop now with Maxi. And of course, we've just moved to the front end of this 69 Mustang that you saw us filming in it before. And talking off camera with Maxi, there seems to be somewhat of a story behind this, which I think a lot of us who have had cars restored or are familiar with this industry live and hear, that this was a rescue that came from another shop that has no motor in it, and the owner wants a complete restoration on it.
So yeah, this particular one has been painted and pretty much completed at another shop, but much like we were talking a few minutes ago, there was no common understanding on what the end goal was, and then the main reason that it came to us is because the convertible top was not sealing very well
Okay.
to the glass, and after we started spending time with the car, we started noticing some issues with the paint. Colors don't really match from panel to panel, and then in some areas even there's no clear coat.
Wow.
Top of the door on the passenger side, on the back on the trunk lid, there wasn't. So at first we attempted to repair what was here with the paint, unsuccessfully, let's say, because this color Acapulco blue has a lot of light metallics, and that's a very tough color
Very tough to match. Yep.
So which we came to the conclusion with the customer that we're going to do an overall paint job on the vehicle and address some of the issues that he wanted to address at the other shop, or we wanted the other shop to address, which was aligning the panels properly, making sure
Right.
that everything operated the way it's supposed to, which is not.
So when you were saying no motor, does it, I mean, it just doesn't exist, or is it somewhere else and we can't get your hands on it to get it back in this car?
He has it at home.
Okay.
He has the motor at home. Actually, the fellow that owns this car, a technician himself. He's been working on cars for over 30 years, and so he's set with the mechanical aspect of
sure.
it. He's going to do it himself. So currently he's getting the engine rebuilt, and once we finish the paint, he will take it back and install the engine himself. Which I told him, man, you got to be very careful going back in. Careful with those fenders; they're beautiful.
All right, so behind you, we were talking again. This is a Massachusetts Bronco. All right, so you were saying, Maxi, when we were talking earlier, that this is one of those vehicles that you try to discuss with the customer, but there's so much sentimental value to it and so much history between him or her and the vehicle that you're going to end up doing a restoration on this no matter what.
Yeah, so the common understanding and making sure the customer is happy with the project by the time it's all said and done, that's where we talk to the client, we present the estimates to repair this car, and it makes a lot more sense to buy another.
Get a donor.
Yeah, get a donor,
And bring it in.
and maybe just slap the body on the existing
And maybe
frame.
use some parts from this to that donor.
Sure,
Or
yeah,
yeah.
just, but most of the times the client does not. They want to stick with the car. They don't want to get rid of it. There's that emotional attachment. So logically, it's just the logical value is gone. It's
Right.
out the window. But
Well, and once you figure that out, then you just got to march on with it.
yeah, absolutely. So as long as we're all on the same page and we understand that it's going to take a lot more money to repair this
Right.
one than to buy another one and fix up the donor, let's call it.
Now, are panels and parts and all that for this, like from, what is it, Graveyard Bronco, or, that you can get Bronco parts?
You can get a few panels through a few vendors out there, but currently it's not a market yet on this 90s Broncos.
So do you guys make your own panels here?
We make our own panels
Make
here
our own panels.
if
Very
we
good.
need to. Much like the donor car idea, sometimes it's easier to get a donor body that has a crushed frame or something.
Right.
We can still section off the floor pan in this case.
Sure.
So that's basically what we're going to do with this one.
All right, so Maxi, we've talked about parts and all that stuff that donors and maybe making your own parts and so on and so forth. We're seeing here that, again, this is a Massachusetts truck that's got a, pretty rusted out frame and whatnot. Where will you start with this? We see obviously the body we separated out here at this point, but as far as rebuilding, reworking this frame, it looks like it's pretty rotted through here. Are you searching for a new frame for this?
Quite a bit of damage on this one. Yeah, we were searching for a new frame or a restore frame. We ended up with the donor car, donor Bronco, that's here locally with a bad engine and whatnot. But yes, absolutely, a lot of damage on the rear section of this frame. Core support also completely rotted out. So the idea of grafting the frame is what I didn't want to do originally, but the customer didn't want to replace the whole frame. If we can save this frame.
Okay.
That emotional attachment is strong at times, where
Right, sure.
we do what the customer wants.
Right,
Now,
right.
if it doesn't make sense and it's not safe, then we won't do it.
Right.
But being that the rear section of the frame is what the main problem here, we
Right.
can actually graft
And
sections
then I
of the
noticed
donor frame.
all up in here, all the rock, the typical that you find from salt and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, typical on a Bronco and typical of the Massachusetts Bronco.
Sure. Right.
So the rear section of it is completely rotted out. I mean, just pretty
Oh,
much
yeah.
everything that has to do with the body bracing is completely gone. So we are going to again cut off the floors of the donor vehicle and install
And I'm
it.
assuming this is all going back to stock?
It's all going back to stock. Yes. In this case, he's going to do it in sections. Yeah, we're going to take care of the structural, get it all sound. We're actually installing a new motor also, and then come back at a later time to do the exterior.
So that's interesting. New motor, not rebuild them. Not rebuild this.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Correct. It's
Okay.
the balance of the budget.
All right. Gotcha. Replacing out the engine, cutting out a frame, redoing all the work back here, taking it back to the original. what's your ballpark on how much time?
Ballpark is a good way to put it because you should never know. We're estimating 3 months at the most, but it's a process of discovery that we like to call it. When we start cutting sections and start finding.
You dig and you think you got, and you dig further and there's more.
There's more, and then there's more. And so to be able to work out with the budget plus what the vehicle has in store for us.
Sure. Yeah. What you haven't seen yet.
That we haven't seen yet. Absolutely. So that's going to be to be figured out as we get into it.
When I mean, you started here, but when in earnest will the work start?
So donor cars coming in next week. The engine should be here as a matter of fact today sometime, and we'll pretty much get it planned out, put it in our system for the guys to follow step by step and get started on it. So I think about a week or two.
Very good. All right, so we've moved to another section of the shop, and you probably saw earlier in our filming the 65, this really pretty 65 Mustang. And Maxi, this has got to be probably one of your favorite clients because they are returned. And you've told us, what, 5 years now, it's been back how many times? 3, 4 times?
It's been back a handful of times. Just for repairs, of course. Anything that has come
Well,
up.
you use that quote, drive it like you stole it, right? Isn't that what you were saying?
That's what I said, yeah. He drives like he stole it, as a matter of fact, and call him out.
Yeah.
When he picked up his car, right after we finished the project, he drove straight to Ocean City. And actually parked it next to a sprinkler system that was a saltwater sprinkler system. And, so shortly after that event, it came back to us for the first time after the project was done for us to wet sand and buff the painting.
Good boy.
So these things happen, but this one is a beautiful project. He's moved to Florida at this point, and he's got us doing a couple of touch-ups here and there, and we're gonna ship it to him coming up.
Now, was this a full frame off when you started?
This was a full frame off. I think we talked about it earlier that some of these projects that we get here are rescued from other shops, much like the blue Mustang. So this one was also a rescue from a different shop. By the time it got to us, it was the body was just on dollies. The whole suspension was removed, the engine was removed, and then we proceeded to do the rest of the mod for him. It has the 427 Ford racing engine. When we purchased that engine, the guys at the Ford Racing told us you might not want to use a Ford transmission on this one. So it has actually. It's got a GM transmission behind there.
Oh, okay.
So it can handle the power.
What do you have as far as back behind the GM transmission? What, a Ford rear end?
It's a Ford rear end. It's a Ford 9-inch, of course.
Well, and that's a very popular.
And there's really nothing special about it. I wish I knew the details on this one. I forget at this point. It's been 5 years. But
well, that's a good sign. You haven't reworked the rear end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Well, let's move on to the rest of the shop. There's some other cool things I saw on the other side through the door. All right. So we finished up over there with what seemed like nothing but Fords. And we've moved through to the other side of the shop here, and I'd only come in and briefly looked around, and as we came back over here, I happened to peek back behind this truck here, another Ford truck, and saw exactly the car that I knew that we needed to come talk in front of, which is a 1968 Camaro SS 396. Give us a little background on this one. You got the whole front end off. It looks pretty much original.
It's pretty much original. This is the way he got it, original.
Okay.
And we're going with for some upgrades that we wanted to do. You might be able to get a glance at the AC compressor there installed.
Looks like vintage air.
Vintage air AC compressor, vintage air AC system.
Looks like electric fans.
So we have a Ron Davis cooling unit, with electric fans.
Right.
Now we're actually installing the RS headlight conversion. And that is original 396 and a fairly original car. So for some people this might be a sin to have done some of this.
To each his own.
But to each his own, exactly. So.
Well, I noticed this is the 327. I'm sorry, the 325 horsepower. We've got the cast iron intake,
Yep.
along with the orange painted steel valve covers.
Yep. So it's the original engine to this vehicle, and it has plenty of power. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Plenty of
I didn't
power.
look back. Automatic or standard?
4-speed.
4-speed. Okay.
4-speed. Yeah. 4-speed.
So the gentleman here, we're doing this work. Is he the second owner, third owner? Do you know?
I don't know the particulars though.
Okay. Is he a first-time client or a return
Return
customer?
Return customer.
So just engine work you're doing, AC work and the radiator and fans, or are you doing other, you were saying upgrades to this?
That's it for now. The radio upgrades. We actually the rear differential has some track bars. We got rid of those. It was bottoming out every time when he went over a bump. He likes to carry the family in the vehicle. So
Right.
It was challenging for him to enjoy it, and it was very bumpy. But
How long do you think this project will last?
we're pretty much done with it at this point. We just got to wrap up what's going on with the headlights. We're actually fixing up the interior floor panel. We're recovering those,
Okay.
repadding the rear seat.
How do you send that stuff out, or you have the upholstery? You send the upholstery out to be done?
We do most of the upholstery in house. Now, when it comes down to custom upholstery, we send it out. I wish we had the room to do it here.
Right.
The next thing is bigger building.
Right. And then I'm assuming, this is a black car, so I'm assuming it gets cleaned and buffed and polished before it walks out the door?
Yes, every car, absolutely. We get cleaned up, detailed, buffed and polished if need to, and send it out.
Well, very good. Well, we'll see if we can find another Chevrolet in the shop here to
It's gonna be
look
tough.
at.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern here of Ford. So we were walking by this truck and you said, all right, this one has a good story, so we're going to stop and look at this 53, you said? 53, right?
53 F100. Another Ford, unfortunately, against your wishes.
Yeah.
But this little pickup truck here has a pretty cool story. He bought it back in 36 years ago at this point, and he started the project then. So this has been his dream. It started 36 years ago. The dream was to have it ready before the kids went to college.
Went to college, okay.
Have it all finished up, but unfortunately that never happened for him. So he was working on it little by little. He collected parts. He collected
Well, there's a common theme to this. I think most of us have lived this or heard about that.
and life happens.
Right.
So we get busy. So we it's been through a couple other shops throughout the years. And he could never finish it. Because things kept changing around. The shops were closed down. One of them, and then it finally found us, and we started working on it. Then the way you see it painted, the way you see it is how we got it. But a lot of the electrical, the mechanical, so on and so forth weren't done yet. And as you can imagine, he's been collecting parts for 30-some years. So some of the components that he had that he wanted to install were outdated in a sense. So we somewhat looked into modernizing some of those things. So he got now we're pretty close to finishing her up. We are addressing. You probably don't get to see it in that where you're now.
Here a minute ago, yeah.
But we're trying to address an issue on the door sill to make sure that it closes properly, so on and so forth. And so we're almost wrapping up with that, and we install the overdrive unit. So he's so excited, so passionate about this project that I get calls regularly from him, to let me know, what his thoughts are. His wife keeps telling him, do whatever you got to do to it. Doesn't matter how much it is. Let's do it. Because originally he wasn't thinking about doing the overdrive because he wanted to stay within budget. But then now it's like, let's do it.
So how long have you had it?
We've had this car for at this point about a year.
Okay.
So the whole electrical that was done originally had to be removed completely, and then we started strategizing on how to complete the project. As you already know, it's tougher to re-engineer something that's already been done,
Sure.
and you have to take it all apart and then start from scratch.
Now, something we haven't talked about in our entire tour here, are most of your customers local? I know you said that one Mustang, he lives in Florida now, but he was local
Yeah.
before. So most of your customers local, or do you get them from out of the area?
Most of them are local. We do get a lot from out of the area.
Okay.
We've gotten customers as far out as Washington State. So we have had customers brought in from Florida, even from the West Coast. We actually just deliver a 65 Malibu that's came from the West Coast. So for us to finish up the project, and there's a common theme there. So whenever other shops can't finish it and they're over their heads, they
Come to you.
they end up here. So we got to have the patience and the drive to get
Right.
these cars done,
Right.
because they can easily just become a 36-year project.
Sure, absolutely. So I think we're going to wrap things up. We've taken more than enough of your time. We really appreciate you taking the time to stand and talk with us and tell us the stories and backstories. I think one of the things that I'm walking away with is that, Maxi, you know the stories behind all these cars, and I think there's something to be said for that. That you, as the kind of the shop supervisor here, knows what's going on behind the scenes and knows. It's true testament to what you say online about knowing your customers and getting in with them when you can stand and talk to us about every single one of these vehicles and know the history behind them. I think that's very, very cool.
Well, absolutely. I want to thank you guys for coming over and come check out the shop. Thanks for taking the time of your day to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come over
Well,
here.
I think we ought to need to try to strong arm these guys into coming down to the Coastal Virginia Auto Show and either bringing some of their products or just coming down and hanging with us for the weekend. We are going to wrap up, and so stand by for that, because we're going to collect whoever we can. Maybe we'll get some of the dogs. We found two more back here, pit bulls. But we're going to try to get everybody together so we can say so long from On the Road and do it out in the front office or out in front since the sun shines. So stand by. We'll be with you in a second.
All right, so we are out here in Woodbridge, Virginia. We're having a great time out here at Black Wolf Automotive Specialties, right?
Definitely on the road for us today.
Yeah, we took a hike out here.
Definitely
Yes.
on the road for us today.
About 2 hours away.
2.5 hours.
2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was really worth it because we actually saw some cool stuff. I mean, we love seeing the progress of everything, and this definitely had a little bit of everything. It had the finished product, it had the starting product, it had the product that woulda, shoulda, coulda. So we saw some cool stuff out here. You guys were a great host for us, so I want to say thank you for having us out here today.
Absolutely, and you know what?
Yes.
We walk away with some new friends, just like we've been talking about, and some great stories. So we really love. And Maxi, thanks for spending so much time with us. And,
No problem.
and again, I
Thanks for coming
reiterate the fact that you know the backstory behind all these vehicles. I think that goes
Very
a long
important
way.
to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Story to every one of them.
Yes.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, that's what makes it
Story's the
interesting.
story, yeah.
Yes.
And the cool thing is that we were talking about earlier also is that my opinion is that it's hard for one person to be the artist and the businessman. So it's good to have a team that can kind of pepper on each end of those. And it seems like you guys have something figured out here, so that's great. Jeanette has a little something for you guys.
I do. A little leave behind for having us out.
Thank you very much.
We also have one of our On the Road stickers. So thank you, Chris, for having us out. It was great. We enjoyed it. Maxi, awesome job telling us all about each car.
Yep.
And we
We're going
loved
to
it.
button up with thanking our sponsors again. So I want to say thank you to, give it to us, Jeanette.
VPI Services and Rooster Concepts. Thank you, guys. We couldn't be on the road without you.
All right, everybody say bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you on the road.